Hi, Jasper Nation. It's Kelly Carroll from Sports Communication, and we're back. We're talking mental health today, a very important topic with Dr. Gullesserian, Assistant Professor of Counseling and Therapy, and also Program Director for the Graduate Mental Health Counseling Program. So thank you so much for being here.
I'm very excited to be here with you today.
So to start off, can you speak a little about your role at Manhattan College and your professional training?
Well, first, my professional training. I'm a licensed psychologist in New York State. I'm also a certified school psychologist. And at Manhattan College, I actually serve a couple roles. So I'm an assistant professor in the School of Education and Health, specifically the Department of Counseling and Therapy programs. I'm the program director of the Graduate Mental Health Counseling program. So all the students I work with on campus are graduate students. I serve as the program director, their advisor, their internship coordinator, and I teach several of the courses within the program.
A lot of hats.
Yes.
So obviously during this coronavirus pandemic, we are all, especially in New York, where you are right now, we are distancing for our physical health. But in your experience, how would social distancing start to impact people's mental health?
Well, it really depends actually on your personality. So social distancing will affect all of us very differently depending on the type of person we are. And really, people sort of fall into two extremes, whether they're an introvert or an extrovert. Social distancing is really an introvert's dream. They get to stay home and not interact with anyone, but it's an extrovert's nightmare. They would prefer to be able to fill their need of socialization. So if you are someone who is used to being out and being part of a group, like many athletes are, most athletes are part of a group sport and part of a team, they're used to being around people and really getting that need for socialization filled. And now that we're all social distancing and we are kept away from one another, that can really impact your overall mental well-being.
That makes perfect sense. And touching upon student athletes specifically, when someone is in that environment, competing at a high level, training every day, and then as happened here, that's just abruptly kind of cut off. What are some things specific to that situation that happens when it has to deal with mental health?
Well, that question makes me think of a lot of the patients I've worked with. So outside of the college, I have a small private practice and I work with children, adolescents, young adults, and adults. I have a pretty big high school and college group that I work with. And I actually work with a lot of athletes who've experienced career-ending injuries, whether their high school career was cut short or their college athletic career was cut short. And it makes me think of them because they didn't have any notice. No one told them that they wouldn't be able to continue in their sport.
Mhm.
They had the injury and they were no longer able to continue. So when I think of the athletes at Manhattan College and the fact that it so quickly happened, one day some of them were on a court and the next day they were off the court. So because it was so abrupt, you didn't have an opportunity to plan for it. And that is experienced like other losses that you don't have the opportunity to plan for. And human beings actually go through a pretty structured set of stages when you experience a loss. And I can go through those for you now briefly. But initially, I'm sure the students were feeling shocked, completely shocked that this was happening to them. Then they probably were really mad. You know, something had been taken away from them and they didn't have any control of it. They didn't ask for their season to end or their ability to participate or practice with their team was going to end, but it did. So I'm sure they were feeling disappointed or angry. And then they probably were sitting there thinking, did this really happen? Or maybe this didn't happen. Maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and I'll go to practice like I usually do. But every morning they're waking up and that's not happening. So then you sort of slip into a stage of real sadness because then it's real. It really happened. So you can start feeling sad. You might even, for some, it goes towards extreme sadness,
Mhm.
possibly depression. But hopefully with support, the athletes can move on to a stage of acceptance, accepting that this has happened, as many as of us have to accept
Mhm.
that we are all experiencing this. It's real, it's happened, and at a point you have to accept it to cope with it. So that's really what I think most athletes probably experienced. And it's really going to impact each athlete in a different way based on their own baseline, how they have functioned. Have they ever experienced a trauma in the past? Have they had an injury? Maybe they were sidelined for part of a season or a season, so their routine was thrown off before, meaning that they could attend practice, but they couldn't participate, or they could attend games, but they couldn't, you know, join their team. So maybe some athletes have experienced this abrupt stop before, but others have not. It's the first time that they've had something happen that they couldn't control with regard to their athletic career. And I think it will impact those that this is very new to, and they will need to find ways to cope with that.
Yeah. What are some ways that they are experiencing this, or some things that we all should be looking for to kind of identify that we might need to take better care of our mental health?
Really, it comes down to any changes that you notice, or maybe someone close to you points out to you.
Mhm.
Sometimes we don't notice the changes in ourselves. So you really need to listen to those who you're close to. And if they notice any changes, or you notice changes in your behavior, in your mood, or even in your thoughts, maybe thoughts that you keep to yourself or express to others, and really about behavior, it's really basic, meaning any changes in your sleep patterns, in your eating habits. I mean, the athletes, their schedule is very different now. Your athletic career, your collegiate athletic career structures your day. It structures your schedule. And when that gets taken away from you, you have to create a new structure, a new routine. It's very important for the athletes to be maintaining some degree of structure and routine, because that will also help to have manage your sleeping, manage your eating, manage your mood. But if you notice any extreme changes, and not just based on the change in your schedule, then I think that that's a indication that you need to pay a little bit more attention to your mental well-being, mental health, and implement some real, supports to
Mhm.
yourself. You might be able to support yourself, but you also might need to invite others in and create a social support system to help you implement some changes that you might need to take care of yourself.
I really love what you said about the structure and having, a routine that you go through every day. I can say as an adult working from home, it's been instrumental in just keeping me going, keeping me motivated. So I think that's a huge tip that our student athletes can implement. Expanding on that topic, what are some other tips and tricks that they can use themselves at home, just making sure that they're really taking care of their mental health?
I think for athletes, your physical health is a key here. If you think about the mind body connection, for an athlete, their physical well being is completely related to their mental well being. And I think the athletes need to really focus on that. While you don't, again, have a structured practice time, you don't have a structured set of strength and conditioning exercises you should be doing or skills. I think if your coach is not providing it for you, um, or if other members of the Manhattan College athletic department who you normally work with is providing that to you, you need to create it yourself. Think back to when you first started in this sport, whether that was in elementary, middle, or high school. I mean, you've probably been a lifelong athlete. Go back to doing some of your own structure in relation to physical well-being. How can you strengthen yourself? How can you practice your skills? I think it's really important to maintain that intensity. I
Mhm.
mean, being a Division I college athlete, the intensity at which you really work on your physical well-being really needs to be matched
Mhm.
during this time. As a Division I collegiate athlete, your mind and body are used to a very intense amount of physical activity. And I think it's important for you to maintain that to the best of your ability, wherever you are at this time. So if you can each day get yourself engaged at the same level of physical activity, it will help you to create that balance and help you to stabilize yourself in a way that you already are balanced.
That's amazing advice. We rarely realize how much our mental and physical health are intertwined with each other. And, you know, it's so important to make sure that you're physically taking care of yourself so everything works. Everything's going the way it should be. Um, so if a student athlete or really any of your students were to come to you and say, you know, I am remote, but I would love to know what resources are out there specifically that the college provides, where would you kind of direct them?
I would first direct them to the College Counseling Center. The College Counseling Center has done a great job of getting themselves online to provide telehealth. So they have a HIPAA compliant video platform, video conferencing platform that they can use to conduct their counseling sessions. There's a number posted on their college webpage, and you can call to schedule an intake appointment. They will schedule you with a counselor who will meet with you and do an intake and assess really where you're at and what your needs are. And then you can meet with them for ongoing individual counseling sessions. All of the information is on the Manhattan College Counseling Center webpage, and the number is there provided. And I believe there's also a link that you can use to possibly schedule an appointment. But if you're, you know, far away or maybe in a different time zone and you want to use a resource that's maybe part of your community, I would recommend, if you've ever received any mental health counseling in the past, you maybe go back to that resource. Maybe you met with someone when you, again, were in elementary, middle, or high school, and you could call on that individual to see if they're still available to work with you. If not, you can reach out to local community-based mental health centers. Each state is providing a 1-800 number, a resource for members of that state to call, and they will connect you with mental health resources in your community.
That's wonderful. Such a wide range of things that you can do even when you have to stay home. That's really fantastic. We close these with kind of specific to you and whatever you want to say, but like a message of support for Jasper Nation. You are a wonderful part of Jasper Nation. And so I wanted to see if you had anything you wanted to kind of say in your own words to our student athletes and everyone else that we miss so much from being on campus.
So over the years that I've been a part of Jasper Nation, I've enjoyed attending so many games for so many of the different teams, and I'm really looking forward to being able to do that again. So I have hope. I think that's my message. My message is of hope, to remember that one day we will all be back together again. I'll be able to be in the stands rooting you on, watching you do what you love, and I'm hopeful and very excited for that day. So that's my message. My message is of hope and looking forward to the future of us all being back together doing what we so love to do.
Thank you for that message of support. We love the optimism and the hope, and I agree. It's going to be so exciting when we are back together and we can all cheer each other on. And for now, we're cheering each other on from a little bit of a distance. So Jasper Nation, keep your heads up, take care of your mental health, and Dr. G, thank you so much for talking about this really important topic. I so value your time and your expertise. It was really wonderful to have you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed speaking with you.